Aloha, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to another week of Trauma Recovery University. I am your host, Athena Moberg, and with me in the green room is my amazing co-host, Bobby Parrish. And tonight's topic is triggers. What are triggers? How do we cope with them? How do we cope with them in healthy ways? And how do we start to recognize them so that we can sort of head them off at the pass and not allow them to get to us? We can see them coming ahead of time. It's not always the case, but in most cases, we can do that. We're going to unpack all of this tonight. We are running a little bit behind on time. We had some technical issues, some amazing things going on, but with all this good and growth comes a little bit of bad, which means that we're delayed a little bit. So tonight's broadcast might be just a little bit shorter than other broadcasts, but we are going to jump into content much quicker tonight and do a little bit less interacting, only for the sake of time, just to be respectful of your time. And if you all would prefer that we go long, then we can definitely do that another week. But for tonight, we're just going to try to stay and be done at the normal time. So I would like to welcome you. If you are not tuning in live and you don't even know we're behind schedule, you've just found us, this is your first time. So if that is you, I would like to welcome you personally. My name is Athena Moberg and my amazing partner is Bobby Parrish. We are trauma recovery coaches and we love to talk to adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse. So if that is you, you are on the right broadcast. And if you're tuning in on a podcast platform such as iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or even iHeartRadio, we want to remind you this is a video broadcast. So you can find all of our videos over on our YouTube channel, which is located at youtube.com/Trauma Recovery University TV. You can also find us if you have a Roku device. We have a Roku television channel. You can go on any Roku device and search for Trauma Recovery University. And just as a thank you for being one of our loyal listeners, viewers, subscribers, or just an awesome survivor, as we always say, we want to give you complimentary access to tonight's downloadable resource. You can get that by going to traumarecoveryuniversity.com and click on the tab that says Downloadables. In the interim, you can also find us at nomoreshameproject.com. Click on the tab that says Downloadables, and you'll be given immediate access to tonight's downloadable one-page resource, which is in a PDF format, and it's titled Triggers. So if you're tuning in live in the month of September of 2015, page all the way down to the bottom, and that is where you'll find it. Oh, I'm sorry, it's October. Hello, it's already October. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to my incredible partner. I'm going to turn this over to my incredible partner, Bobby Parrish, and she's going to update us on all kinds of fun things that are going on. No More Shame November, our annual anthology, and tons of other things along with a hello major trigger warning. So thank you again for tuning in. We love for this to be your most valuable week, most valuable hour of your week for everything you need for healthy, informed trauma recovery. But I'm tripping over my words tonight, so I give up. I'm out of here. Bobby, take it away.
Now wait, everybody, before Athena disappears behind her iPad because her phone has given up the ghost, do you not see the beautiful banners on the bottom of our screen here beneath both of our chins? Right there, right there. It's right there, right there. Athena made those. Athena has been working tirelessly. It's not right because I know she's been tired, but ferociously in the last few months to rebrand everything that we have done into the beautiful new Trauma Recovery University website, the beautiful new seal that you see there. I'm pointing to it on my screen. Can you see it? That's where my finger is.
Right
with
there.
Beautiful book.
Right there.
Yes, right there.
Right here.
There you go. You did it. And our names are on there now. You know who we are. You know how to tweet us and get a hold of us. If you go to our Twitter channel, or if you're any of our Facebook groups, you'll notice that everything has changed. Beautiful colors and everything, and I am just so happy. And I want to make sure that everyone knows that this is because of Athena. And she did all this hard work amongst all her travels and all of her other amazing things that she does. So thank you, Athena, for making us look beautiful.
Thank you for inspiring me. I used a lot of your favorite colors. I pulled them from different things that you've shared, and I know they're your favorite. I think they're your favorite colors. So
yes,
and plus I asked a lot of different people which colors they would like to see, and the purplish color is a little bit feminine, but the other colors are definitely unisex. So
you know what? Purple is the color of royalty, male or female. So you know what? After everything we have been through in our lifetimes, each of us deserves a crown. So there. Purple is a color of royalty, which we all are, after having worked as hard as we have to get to this place. And we certainly talked about that this morning in chat when we talked about triggers. And I am going to do the ultimate ironic thing and issue a trigger warning for tonight's broadcast. Jack got a kick out of that this morning, and it didn't even occur to me how ironic that was until he said something, not said something like with his voice, but said something on a tweet. But yeah, he's right. That's incredibly ironic. So.
And Brenda did too. Brenda said the irony is not escaping me. The irony of today's topic and the trigger warning tweet is not escaping me.
Yes. So here we are issuing a trigger warning. As always, for all of our broadcasts, we want to let you know that we will be talking about childhood abuse. We will be talking about childhood sexual abuse. So please take good care of yourselves while you watch this. We know that survivors themselves can be very visually oriented, and sometimes watching the video can be especially triggering for us. So if you're watching this video, even if you're watching it live and it starts to trigger you and you're getting uncomfortable, shut it down. Hit the pause button if you're watching us on a replay. Hit the pause or the stop button if you're listening to us on a podcast, and walk away. And when you're feeling better, we'll still be here. If you're watching us live and you have to stop watching, it'll be up on YouTube after we're done within a matter of a few hours. After our VA, Harriet does wonderful magical things to it. And then it'll be up on Roku TV. So you're not going to miss it. It'll still be there. It'll still be available to you. So please take care of yourselves. And as we talk about triggers tonight, we'll come back and visit this topic and explain why maybe this is triggering for people, even when you didn't think it was going to be. So No More Shame November coming up. Please, if you have a blog where you write about childhood abuse, whether it is informational writing or it is your personal story, we would love to feature you on Trauma Recovery University's website for November. We're going to be doing a blog roll, so please send in the URL for your blog along with your name, and send that to nomore-shame-project@gmail.com. And then if you have a blog post that shares your story or shares something particular about your story that you would like to share with everyone, we're going to try and do a survivor story a day. And we have someone who's volunteered to help us with that. I won't say her name because I haven't asked her yet whether that's okay. So please send those things in. nomore-shame-project@gmail.com, and we would absolutely love to share them in November. This is the month where we really hit advocacy and awareness of childhood sexual abuse and adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse, what they go through. We hit it really hard in November. That's when our anthologies come out. So look for all kinds of awesome things to happen next month, including Trauma Recovery University is going to be relaunched. In fact, I think Athena mentioned that we're going to relaunch it on next week's broadcast. Yes?
I hope so.
I hope so.
I certainly hope so. I don't know. I want to say yes, but then every time I commit to a date, then I have all these technical issues and then I feel terrible. So I'm doing my best. It's going to be
Yes.
very, very soon. We said that it was going to be happening in September, and that didn't exactly happen. I had a lot of travel and a little bit of extended travel that happened in September. So I'm just showing myself a little bit of grace. And I know that I want to mention this before we dive into content, okay? Because I know we're going to put up our contact information a little bit later, Bobbi, but I wanted to mention one thing before we dive into content, and that is I have received some private messages and emails from a few of you asking, where can I pay $15 a month so that I can be involved in everything that you're doing, because you guys have been talking about it for a while. I must be missing something because I'm looking and I don't see, and oh, sorry, I didn't mean to shake the whole screen, good Lord.
Earthquake in Maui.
That has happened actually. But so you all are asking, Athena, where can I pay? You've been talking about this subscription, and I want to make sure I'm not missing out on all of the goodness. So the answer, and I know I messaged each of you personally that sent this message, but it's not anything that you're doing. It's not anything that you've missed. It's me. I was writing code for the back end of the website, and then I ended up purchasing a piece of software that would write code for me. And so I've just been redoing. I need everything to be uniform now. So I don't want half of it to be code that I wrote and then half of it to be code that was written for me by a piece of software, because then it's just like a recipe for a disaster. So the quick answer, without me going into nerd speak or whatever, how Richard always says, you're going to be able to pay soon, and it will be, I believe it's $14.97 or $14.99, or I don't even know, but yes, it will be ready very, very soon, and I'm going to message each of you personally. Thank you for asking, how can we pay? Oh my gosh, yes, I want to be involved. Thank you for that. We need it. We really do. But there's just a little bit of a delay. So we do have an entire list of over 60 charter members, or founding members, I'm not sure what we're calling them yet, that will never have to pay a monthly subscription. And if you would like in on that, I don't know if we have a couple of spots left or not, but just let us know in the next day or so if you'd like in on that, to be a founding member, a charter member. So Bobbi, I'm done rambling now, and I want to turn it back over to you. I'm not sure if we mentioned rain, or I can't remember. I was busy tweeting. So
darn it, I gave the trigger warning and I didn't talk about rain. Oh, how lousy of a trigger warning on the night we're talking about triggers.
It was not lousy. It was awesome.
If you are triggered by tonight's broadcast, or you are in crisis and you need help urgently, if you are in the UK or the US, you can go to RAINN, R-A-I-N-N, the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network.org, and they have a crisis chat feature on their website. If you are in the US, you may also reach them by hotline, and they're at 1-800-656-HOPE. And no, I don't know what that stands for. I try every week to remember, and every week it just jumps right out of my head.
I know. I need to put a Post-it note on my computer or something. I need to remember what the numbers are. I swear. I keep saying I'm going to do that, and then I just know, as if I don't have 55,000 other things I'm trying to remember. So.
Right. Exactly. So as I'm there. Yes, so we issued our trigger warning. We talked to you about all the awesomeness for No More Shame November. We introduced our beautiful new graphics to you and let you know that pretty soon we will have our awesome new website to show to you as well. And then I'm going to show you the one page right now, and you'll see some more of the awesome new graphics that Athena has made for us. And truly, they are for all of us, because
everything I do is for you guys.
Yep, this is our community.
This is not for me, you guys. This is all for you. You know this, right? I know you know this. Okay. I feel better. I know you know this.
Okay, here I come. There we go. All right. So yes, this morning in our first Twitter chat of the week, we talked about triggers, and a lot of people talking about um, their experience with triggers, how triggers hit them, how they cope. We talked about different ways of coping. And just to refresh, a trigger is something that occurs in the present time. Okay, so here you are in the present, and something that you encounter, something you hear, something you see, something you touch, something you smell. Smell is by far one of those powerful senses connected to our memory. So something you smell can be very triggering. Something sends a little neuroelectric signal through your brain, and it pings against something from your abuse. And then all of a sudden you are overcome with either just pure emotion, maybe it's nothing more than just abject sheer terror, or it might be both the emotion and either the visual or auditory or some part of the abuse memory, or it just is a full-blown flashback where you are not present in the moment anymore, you're surrounded by and you're reliving that abuse memory. And I gave an example here because I wanted people to understand what a trigger was. If maybe you're the support person of an abuse survivor, or you're have never had a trigger before, I want people to make sure to understand what they are. Okay, so for example, Sue's abuser always made a point of commenting on how pretty her blue eyes were. But now, whenever someone compliments her on her eyes, she immediately remembers the abuse, feels deeply ashamed, and becomes sick to her stomach. Okay, so that's something that's happening in the present moment that pings her memory of her abuse. And it brings forward not only an emotion, but a physical reaction. She feels sick to her stomach, and she sees and experiences the memories of the abuse. That is an example of a trigger. Another example, one of Athena's abusers used to poke fun at her, saying she was fat, which if you've seen pictures of Athena when she was little, she was not fat. Now, when she catches a glimpse of herself in the mirror wearing an outfit that is not very flattering, she feels deeply ashamed because it triggers her memories of being told that she was fat. Triggers, although usually harmless, can evoke such strong emotions that we feel terrified and overwhelmed, even when there is no present moment cause for such a strong reaction. And I want to make sure and put in here that sometimes we are triggered in situations where we actually are unsafe. Okay, so maybe you're leaving a restaurant at night and it's dark, and some strange guy calls over at you, hey baby girl, how you doing? Okay, and baby girl is something your abuser used to call you. That is triggering, but it is also an appropriate moment for you to feel a little bit of fear and be cautious. Okay, fear is not always a bad thing. Fear can be extremely helpful because it tells us when we need to be alert in a particular situation. But most of the time, when we are triggered by something in the present moment, there is no threat. But sometimes there is, and I don't want to discount that. I don't want people to think that I am at all discounting them with that one. Okay, sometimes we know ahead of time what might trigger us in an upcoming situation. Sometimes we know our triggers. This morning, people were throwing things out left and right. The smell of a particular aftershave. We've had someone talk before about the smell of a particular kind of whiskey, a particular kind of language, a behavior. Sometimes we know what will trigger us, and we can prepare for that. At other times, it comes at us from out of left field, and we didn't expect it at all. This morning, someone was talking about how she had a new memory come up in this past week, And to go along with that, she now has new triggers. Okay, so triggers can be very fluid and very dynamic, and they can change, which, you know, is wonderful because that's just one more hard thing, right, that we have to keep track of, like we have no other hard things to keep track of. The ones that come out of nowhere are usually the ones that are the hardest to cope with, because
Ninja
triggers, because we weren't prepared. You know, when I was a little girl, I used to lay in my bed at night and wait for my abuser to come home from work, because he worked second shift and he didn't get home till about 11 o'clock. And I would fight to stay awake, because if I was awake when he came into my room, I could dissociate at the snap of a finger. But if I was asleep and he woke me up, I was too groggy to dissociate. And so that is kind of the same thing with triggers. When we know it's coming and we can be prepared, as soon as that trigger shows up, boom, we can throw up our coping mechanism. Throw up, that wasn't the right word, sorry.
Oh, I know. I think
throw up too sometimes.
Yeah, right. But you want to put up that coping.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas when a trigger hits you from out of the blue, you know, then you're fumbling through your pockets and your toolkit as fast as you can to try and find something to cope. So we understand those ninja triggers are beastly. There are two ways to help to deal with triggers. You can come at them from the past and you can come at them from the present. All right. Triggers are associated with memories of our abuse. You can, through therapy or coaching, go back and address that trauma and take away some of its power, so that when you hit a trigger that reminds you of that particular piece of trauma, it's not as powerful. You still might get a ping, you might, or it might be a, you know, maybe when you were little, your abuser used to do things to you around swimming. And now every time you go to a swimming pool, you are filled with horrible memories. Okay? Maybe if you go back, you process those memories, you take away the power, you put them to rest, you heal them. Now it's not like, you know, going to the pool is going to be your favorite thing in the whole wide world, but it's not going to send you spinning. And it's not going to stop you from going swimming if you want to, or if your kids want to, and you used to not be able to enjoy it, now you're going to be able to go. So that's one way to attack triggers, and you attack them through the past. You attack them by healing your trauma. The other way is to attack them from the present moment, and that is what we're going to talk about now in the next section, because when we can recognize when we're triggered, when we can put our tools in place, eventually things that used to trigger us like crazy will lose their power. I promise you, they will lose their power gradually over time. Responding to triggers, processing triggers is a muscle. And I can remember someone this morning in chat saying, practice, 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 practice. And yes, unfortunately, it is yet one more thing, one more muscle that you have to practice. And I know Athena and I use that analogy a lot, but I can't think of a better one. So there we go.
Yeah, because if you develop muscle memory, you guys, it's a muscle. When you learn healthy coping strategies and you see the awesome result of the coping strategy that's healthy, then there's no shame attached to a healthy coping strategy. If I want to give you an example of this, because I know that it might not make sense to some people, so I'm just going to give a brief example. I know that we are short on time. I want to be sensitive to your guys' time. So a healthy coping strategy is, if and I want to thank Susan for this and Brenda. There were a lot of people that contributed to this morning. If I am triggered by something that someone says to me, a smell, a sound, a song, something takes me back to that place and I'm actually reliving things again, it is a very healthy strategy and a healthy coping mechanism for me to pause remind myself, even out loud if I can, I'm having an emotional flashback. I need to ground myself right now. I'm going to breathe. And I take deep breaths and I walk over and I run my hands under cold water. I walk outside. I run my hands over the asphalt or the stucco railing of the balcony, or I pick up a piece of jewelry that I like, that is beautiful, that has a lot of prongs on it, or if I smell some lavender oil, or if I decide to listen to some soothing music, or even drink some cold water or some juice, or eat a piece of candy that I enjoy, that is something that's like a treat or something for me. You're reenacting these 5. I'm not saying gorge yourself on candy. That's absolutely the opposite of what I'm getting at. But those that I just mentioned to you are very healthy coping strategies. You're engaging your 5 senses, you're breathing, you're affirming yourself, and you're doing everything in a healthy way. And you end up feeling great afterwards. It's almost like when you go to the gym and you're so proud of yourself for going to the gym because you got in a really good workout. Now, on the flip side of that, if I'm highly triggered by something, I could decide that I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to purchase a bottle of wine, my favorite bottle of wine. And then I'd proceed to sit and drink a bottle of wine by myself. And while that doesn't sound like it may be unhealthy to some people, I'm here to tell you that yes, I have consumed too much alcohol before. And guess what comes right afterwards, besides a headache usually, guys, hello. But what comes immediately afterwards when you, especially if it's not very expensive, delicious, awesome wine. So, but what comes immediately afterwards, if I decide to eat 4 bowls of cereal, because I love cereal, or if I decide to eat a whole entire box of chocolates, or if I drink an entire bottle of wine, or if I do something in excess like that, you guys, I have shame. And it multiplies itself. I guilt myself. I shame myself. I repeat over and over and over and over and over and over and over again what a crappy person I am. Why can't I just handle these things? I'm a big girl now. What's wrong with me? I'm not a little kid anymore. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just handle this? I should be farther along in my recovery by now. What is wrong with me? Why am I still using these unhealthy coping strategies? Shame, 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 shame. And guess what? I just rewound and unraveled my recovery and set myself back by like months because I chose to shame myself rather than forgiving myself. Okay, I struggled today. I dealt with my trigger in a very unhealthy way. I realize that's unhealthy. I'm going to write down some ways right now to post up on my bathroom mirror or in the cupboard or in my sock drawer or whatever, so that next time I'm triggered and I can possibly remember, where did I put that piece of paper? I know where it is. It's right there where I knew I would find it. These are some things I should be doing right now. These are healthy coping strategies. Total opposite. Bobby, what do you think about that?
I agree. And I am, and you are too. We are huge advocates of preparing yourself ahead of time. Okay, you guys, we're survivors. We're going to run into triggers. We're going to need to be grounded at some point in our lives. We're going to need to take care of ourselves. We're going to need to self-soothe. It's part of our recovery. But when you're trying to do those things in the midst of a crisis, not going to work real well. Okay, it's the same reason why our kids practice fire drills at school. It's the same reason why they practice, heaven forbid, the shelter in place drills at school. It's the same reason why at home we have a fire safety plan. We're on the 2nd floor. If there's fire downstairs, how are we going to get out? What window are we going to use? How are we going to get down? You prepare for these things beforehand, because in the crisis of the moment, your thinking may not be very clear. So I'm actually going to talk about that. We're going to talk about developing lists, starting lists, having strategies at your fingertips. Okay, so sit down and make yourself a notebook that, write toolkit across the front of it, whatever you want to write, as long as it's something nice.
Hey, Bobby, I think I want to design a special notebook for everyone, and maybe I can design it, and then they can print it out, and then they can put it in like a binder or something for themselves. I can design a little pretty cover for them. Not that I need to add things to my list, but I've been wanting to do this for a while. You guys, let me know.
Sounds great.
Let me know if that's something you guys want me to do, because I think it would help for you guys to have a journal that is special, that is just for this, just for you, just for safety.
Right. And for to start making all of these lists and making all these plans, and not just safety things, but like, okay, 5 years from now, I am going to be, these are my goals for myself. This is my vision. These are the happy things I want to make for myself. We don't always have a lot of hope, you guys. And I tell my clients over and over again, sometimes we have to create hope. We have to. We've got to create our own hope. And we can do that by saying, okay, this is my plan for the future. This is where I want to go. This is what I want to focus on. Okay. To cope with triggers in the present moment, use these tips and strategies. First, learn to recognize what you feel like when you are triggered so you can identify the response. Knowledge is power. Sometimes, especially for survivors who are new to recovery, who are first recovering memories, they don't know what a trigger feels like. They probably have experienced it, but they didn't realize that there was a word to put to what they're experiencing. Okay, so recognize what a trigger feels like for you, and there might be a different feeling for you for different kinds of triggers. For triggers that bring solely an emotional component, you're going to feel different than if you have a trigger that actually, makes your heart rate go up, you're sick to your stomach, your palms are sweating, and you have memories flooding through your head like there's no tomorrow. Keep a list of situations and scenarios that commonly trigger you. Again, knowledge is power. Be aware of what triggers you. This morning in chat, a lot of us talked about the coping technique of avoidance. And you know what? Sometimes avoidance is just the best thing. It just is. Sometimes avoidance is actually healthy, and it's called a boundary. I avoid my abuser because to say he's triggering is the very least. He's also damaging, toxic, and harmful. But I have set a boundary with him. I have a no contact boundary. And so sometimes avoidance is okay. If you were planning to go to an event with your girlfriend today, and there were going to be large crowds of people, and they were going to be playing live music, which sometimes triggers you to the kind of music your abuser used to play. You're having a great day, you're going along, and then all of a sudden something really stressful and hard happens. Now you don't have as much patience. Now you don't have as much strength. Now you don't have so much coping capacity. That is okay if for you to call your girlfriend and say, you know what, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't go tonight. I need to take care of myself and stay home. That's okay. But there's also, just the word avoidance has a negative connotation. We don't want you to avoid big chunks of possibility in your life because there might be a trigger. We want you to go out there and grasp every part of life that you can and have with you your toolkit for dealing with triggers when they show up. Okay, develop a list of grounding techniques that work well for you, so that you can immediately implement them when you're triggered. The thing about triggers is they tend to take us out of the present moment and throw us back. We can dissociate, or we can just feel like we're right back where we used to be in that abuse moment. The best thing for you to do at that moment is what's called grounding. And grounding means bringing you fully back and present in your body in the present moment. And the best way to do that is to engage as many of your 5 senses as you can. And that's why Athena talked about smelling the lavender oil, running your hands under cold water, having a piece of candy, something really sweet, something really sour, something really spicy, something that really, engages your taste buds. Exercise is a good one because it puts us back in our bodies. Going outside, feel the wind on your face, listen to the birds, listen to the ocean. All of those things will help ground you. Some of those work better for us than others will. So become acquainted with grounding techniques that really work for you and keep your list. This next one can be a hard one for survivors.
Hey, Bobby, before we go to the next one, I have someone tweeting in wanting to know, can we list names of different triggers and what they're called? Now, I'm not sure if I'm understanding it correctly. Does that mean like a scent trigger and a sound trigger, or a taste trigger, or a touch trigger, or I'm not sure.
I don't know. I've never.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, so if you could tweet us again and just clarify your question regarding naming the different types of triggers and what they're called, if you could be a little bit more specific. And if we don't get to it on tonight's broadcast, that's okay. Just simply put a comment in below the YouTube video, or even in one of our private secret Facebook groups, or you can tweet us as well. So we'll definitely answer that question, even if it's not on tonight's broadcast.
Yeah, but you know, trigger can be virtually anything.
Yeah.
Anything that was, you know, normally associated with your abuse or your abuser. Okay, this next one is hard for survivors. Hard. Develop successful self-soothing techniques that will help resolve your emotional distress after being triggered. Okay, so you've been triggered, you've grounded yourself, but understandably, you are still upset. Now you need to self-soothe. Self-soothing is something that babies learn when they're little, but those of us that were raised in chaotic households where things were flying across the room, or emotions were flying, or fists were flying, or plates were flying, or whatever, we didn't get a chance to learn how to self-soothe. And so we need to learn how to do that as adults. We have to teach ourselves. And when I say self-soothing, I mean something like wrapping yourself up in a warm blanket and sitting down next to the fireplace, putting on some relaxing music, and just, you know, being with yourself all cuddled up for a few minutes. Self-soothing can be playing relaxing music. It can be a relaxing walk. It can be, soaking in a bubble bath. I know for kids, you know, one of the things that is universally recognized as a self-soothing technique is for babies when they use a pacifier or they suck their thumb. That's self-soothing.
And you know what? The whole bubble bath thing can definitely work for adults as well. I was traveling recently, you guys. I know that you knew that I was broadcasting from all these different weird places, but I took a bubble bath while I was traveling, and I couldn't believe how transformational that was. It was total self-care, and I didn't even know it. It was awesome. So I don't do that here at home. I have a shower. I don't have a bathtub. I mean, I do, but it just isn't working properly right now. But yeah, it was so soothing, you guys. It was awesome.
A heating pad, being with a pet, all of those things can be self-soothing. So develop a list of things that work for you to soothe yourself when you're still feeling distressed. Were you going to say something, Athena?
Oh, no, I was just breathing.
Okay, breathing is good.
Yes.
Okay, then all of us, ALL, all of us, need to have one fail-safe rescue strategy at your fingertips. Okay, so if you are triggered and you've done your grounding, you've done your self-soothing, and you are still really struggling, you need to have that one go-to strategy. And you can have two, that's fine, but you need at least one go-to strategy that will help you become calm and centered and present in the moment again. Maybe that is phoning a safe friend. Maybe you have some anti-anxiety medication. You can take PRN, which means as needed. If you are in a situation where you really want to be in the situation, maybe it's that concert that you really wanted to go to, but something is triggering you and you have tried everything and you just can't get present in the moment and you are absolutely not enjoying the experience, you can leave. It's okay. You can leave.
It is 100% okay. Oh,
Absolutely.
she clarified what she meant by, she means emotional flashbacks versus full-blown flashbacks versus sheer panic, etc. I think those are the names. I think
well, you know,
those are the names I use.
An emotional flashback is when you get the emotion without any corresponding memories, without any visual memories, without any smells, tastes, touch. It's just the emotion. So I'll give you a good one. I'll give you one. When I was in grad school and I had a conversation with a professor who promised he would do A for me. And I went back the next week and I said, okay, I'm here. Did you do A? And he looked at me. He said, no, I didn't do A. Furthermore, I did this, this, and this, which were all horrible acts of betrayal to me. I completely lost my mind.
Oh my goodness.
In that moment.
Why would he do that?
Yeah, well, that's a whole other story. But I mean, I lost it. I lost it. And I was like you were talking about earlier, Athena, a little bit about, you know, when I drank the whole bottle of wine, I got ashamed. I was so ashamed because I lost it in this public place in the hallway at grad school. And it didn't occur to me until later that that was an emotional flashback, because it reminded me of times when my abuser had promised me something nice, and yet I didn't get something nice. I got the opposite of nice.
Exactly.
That's an emotional flashback. I didn't have memories. I had not a thought in the world of my abuser at that moment. It was the intense and overwhelming emotion of feeling betrayed. This is not fair. It's unjust. That's an emotional flashback. And when someone says, you know, just sheer panic, to me, that's an emotional flashback as well. Panic, you know, is an emotion. It can be.
It's primal.
It's very primal. It's very primal. But what people normally consider to be a flashback is something that comes with the whole, it's like the experience just wraps around you, like you're in, you know, IMAX theater, and you're seeing it, hearing it, you're tasting it, you're smelling it, all like you are really right there in the moment. That's a full-blown flashback. You're no longer, even though your body is there on, you know, October 5th, 2015, and your mind and your memory, whoop, gone. You're back in that moment. So that's what I mean when I talk about an emotional flashback versus a regular flashback, and then just a trigger that doesn't go to the full force of being, you know, a complete flashback, is when, you know, you smell that aftershave that is the same as what your abuser wore, or the perfume that your abuser wore. And that immediately evokes memories of your abuse and your abuser. You don't leave the present moment, but you become, obviously you're going to become upset and you're going to become distressed. And that's when you need the grounding techniques and the self-soothing. But you don't, you know, leave this moment and travel backward in time. I hope that helps. If that doesn't help, like Athena said, leave us a comment or tweet us, or ask us in any other way that you have access to us, and we will help you.
Oh, and we have shareable our screen shares that tell people how they can
Yes.
contact us.
Yes, we will put that up. The next one, practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is just awesome stuff because it's about staying present in the present moment. And I guarantee that if you develop mindfulness as a skill, it will make responding to triggers so much better. I promise.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know why it is, but it seems right now I'm on a roll of talking with clients about self-talk. We can beat the living tar out of ourselves with our self-talk. And when you are triggered, I ask you to be very, very, very aware of your self-talk. If you're triggered and you're saying to yourself, what the heck is the matter with you? You're an idiot. Why are you thinking of that? Why aren't you just enjoying the moment? What is the matter with you? Why are you crying? Why are you upset? It's just going to make it worse. And I'm pretty sure that that is a voice that you probably heard when you were a child.
I superimpose my husband's voice onto negative, horrible things he would never normally say before he would even ever do it. Like, for instance, if I leave a dish in the sink and I know he's going to be home soon and I haven't washed that dish, I will literally, without even knowing it, you guys, it's as simple and easy and effortless as breathing. I will, within the course of 30 seconds, have shamed myself using my husband's voice, telling me how mad he is, that he is the one who has to do all the dishes and clean up after me and what's wrong with me and can't I do my own damn dishes. First of all, he's never cursed at me, like ever, once ever. And he would never say any of those things. And he knows that I work like the equivalent of like 5 jobs, whatever. Bobby and I both do. And he would never say those things to me. But somehow, some way, automatically, without even trying, I superimpose horrible self-talk with my husband's voice. I use my husband's voice as the voice that's in my head, and he's saying all these horrible things to me. I have to remind myself. I have to write myself notes that say, that's not your husband's voice. That's not my husband's voice. And then I'll see the Post-it note and I'll go, what is that? Oh, now I know. I need to remind myself, that's not my husband's voice. That's not my husband's voice. That's not my husband's voice. Like, after a while, it gets better, you guys, but I'm telling you, it is effortless. It is automatic. Those tapes are automatic if you grew up hearing those messages when you were a child, period. Yeah. Automatic. You're not alone.
Yeah. Nope. And it's not your fault. You were well groomed. You were well programmed. But unfortunately, it is your responsibility to undo that programming. And that's not fair. And I'm sorry. It bites.
And it is what it is. And we're here to help you. That's exactly what we're here
for. The last one, practice excellent self-care, especially before an event that might trigger you or after an event that does. Self-care is the medication that resolves the damage done by a trigger. Okay? You would not dream of skipping medication that your doctor has prescribed for you to resolve, if you're diabetic or you have a vitamin deficiency, you're going to take your medication. Well, self-care is your medication for being triggered. So when you're triggered, when you're anticipating going into an event that's going to be triggering for you, take care of yourself beforehand and afterwards. And keep in mind, I think we've talked before about how good survivors can be in the moment of keeping everything held together and holding their breath and guiding their way through things. In an event that could potentially be triggering, it may be hours afterwards, and maybe 24 hours afterwards before it really hits you really hard. Yeah. So understand that. And if you go and do something you thought was going to be really triggering and you just clenched your teeth and you gripped your fists together really tight and you muscled through it, and then 4 hours later you're sobbing under the covers in your bedroom going, what in the world is going on? Why do I feel this way? It's because you got triggered hours before and you're now feeling all the feels.
But you got to allow yourself, you guys. We want to encourage you to allow yourself to feel the feels and allow yourself the grace to, and just be patient with yourself, you guys. We want to really encourage you to give yourself permission to calmly and slowly feel those feels and heal from everything. Be patient with yourself. If you're feeling exhausted, and the word that I hear in my head, someone just tweeted saying, I think it was Simi, the word that she hears all the time is screw up. Well, my word was lazy. I was told that I was lazy if I wasn't bending over backwards to do everything for everyone, if I wasn't doing everyone's dishes, if I wasn't making sure the vacuum marks were perfect, if I wasn't mucking the horse corrals, if I wasn't feeding and watering the horses and the dogs and all the animals and whatever, if I wasn't doing, if I was sitting, if I was just sitting or reading or anything, I was lazy. And so the word that goes through my head if I don't do that dish with my husband's voice is that I'm being lazy. And I find myself, you guys, we got to give ourselves permission and know that if we're being gentle with ourselves and we're being patient with ourselves and we're giving ourselves permission to feel the feels, it's going to take a little bit extra time, and we got to be patient with ourselves. Got to give ourselves that permission and know that we're not being a screw up. We're not being lazy. We're actually just being human, and we are recovering from some very difficult circumstances. If you really think about it cognitively and rationally, and you look at the degree to which we have been traumatized, and then you unravel it all and you go, oh wow, okay, well then taking a few extra minutes to mellow out. And I know that sometimes calm is triggering for people, especially if you came from a domestic violence situation from children. You know, if you try to give yourself permission to just sit and be still, that can freak you out and trigger you even worse. At least that happens I can only speak for myself. It happens for me. So just try to know thyself, I guess, is
yes, knowledge is power.
Yes, exactly.
That insight and self-awareness.
Yeah. I didn't mean to hijack what you were saying, Bobby. I want to encourage everyone, though, to just be patient with themselves and give themselves the grace and the time necessary to heal from these things, because this is some serious stuff, you guys. This isn't easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy at all.
No, it's not. And anyone who tells you that it is easy, that may be trying to sell you a beachfront property in Kansas City. So
yeah,
stay away from them. Okay. I have to get these next graphics up because they're so pretty, and Athena worked so hard on them. So let's talk about ways to connect with us. And first, here we go. Okay, ways to contact us. And I know that in the last couple of weeks, our response time to email has not been awesome. And I sincerely apologize. I hope that everyone understands that it is only the two of us. We are just now bringing on some other people who will eventually come to the point where they'll be able to intervene with some of these. But you know what, you guys? We don't take all volunteers. We don't take all comers. And we don't turn over anything to anyone else lightly. We love you guys. You mean the world to us, and we do not want to bring in anyone who would not serve you with everything that we would serve you and have nothing but your best interests in mind. So please know that we're working on bringing other people up to speed, but it's not going to happen quickly. And the reason it's not going to happen quickly is because we want to make sure that people who are helping us are providing you with nothing but excellent service and care. That's so important to us.
Yeah, definitely. We have a couple of people that have offered to step in and show it. And I actually sat and I flew and met with people live and sat there for hours and just talked about ways that they could help. And Bobby's done the exact same thing through Skype and through messaging, so that we can find the exact perfect people. Not perfect, because there's no perfect people, but the people that we consider to be perfect for you.
There you go. Perfect for you guys.
Yeah, perfect for you, because we are you. You are us. We're all this. I mean, if we've all survived very similar circumstances, and we know the level of love and care that it takes to communicate with a survivor in a way that is the level that they deserve to be treated. I mean, you guys deserve to be treated with incredible care. You guys deserve the moon, and we want to make sure that we do our best to provide that to you. So that's why I spent my day on Saturday responding personally to everyone's messages, and I won't always be able to do that, but I'm doing it for the time being. So again, thanks for your patience, you guys.
You can reach us at nomoreshameproject@gmail.com. Athena is at Athena Moberg Speaking @gmail.com. And then I'm at Bobby L. Parrish @gmail.com. On Twitter, I'm Bobby L. Parrish. Athena is Athena Moberg. And Trauma Recovery University is Trauma Recovery U. And then on Facebook, we have Trauma Recovery University page, my professional page, which is Bobby Parrish Coaching and Consulting, my personal page, which is Bobby Parrish, and then Athena is Athena Moberg Speaking, and her personal page is Dawn Athena Moberg. We would love to have you as a friend. Please don't hesitate to send us a friend request. I don't turn anyone down unless you have absolutely zippo nothing on your profile, and I can't get a good read for whether or not you're just new to Facebook, or you're some creepy stalker dude from someplace weird. So
I highly recommend sending us a private message if you are friending us, so that we know who you are. Hi, it could be as simple as this. Hi, Bobby or Athena. I found you on YouTube or Roku TV or iTunes or whatever, and I have been following you and would love to be friends with you on Facebook. Thank you for inviting me. That's it. Like, it's that simple, you guys. Just say who you are, just so we know. We don't turn people away and then sure enough, there's always, you guys know that it's true. We say yes to all these different friend requests, and then next thing you know, they're posting on our wall Ray-Ban sunglasses and erectile dysfunction pills and all. I mean, it's just hilarious. So we love you guys. We will say yes to your friend request until you post crazy things on our wall, and then we will have to have a chat. But please friend us on Facebook, and we have the next slide. Or go ahead, Bobby.
Okay.
I was gonna say the next.
Yes. I should say, for some reason, in the last 10 days, I am getting webcam models by the droves following me on Twitter. It's like, we use the hashtag sex abuse chat on Tuesday nights for our Tuesday night Twitter. And I'll bring up that screen because that's where we're moving to. And I think some people just do a search for sex, and my profile pops up. And then, by the droves, and I'm blocking like a crazy woman. But because
the videos automatically start playing, you guys. I mean, I really think that it is because they just do hashtag sex, and then they find out that our name pops up because we participate in sex abuse chat. So
right, it's a little different. There's a tiny bit of difference there, peeps.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay. But sometimes we do get people post weird things on some of them. So yeah, there we go. Anyway, if you're a webcam model, please don't follow me. I will block you. Okay, so ways to join. There we go. Just, as a PSA for the whole world. Ways to join our safe community. Okay, so on Twitter, we have 3 Twitter chats a week. The first one is on Monday using the hashtag CSAQT, which stands for Child Sexual Abuse Question Time. That is at 10 a.m. Pacific Time and 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And later this month, I believe on the 25th of October, we will encounter those weird couple of weeks where
Yeah, like 9 days or something.
right where the time difference in the UK and the time difference here in the US is out of sync because we go back and forth into daylight savings time like 10 days apart from each other. So be patient with us as things go wonky towards the end of the month here. And then you're here now with us for this is our second Twitter chat of the week. This is a live interactive video / Twitter chat, and that is at Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and for all of our stalwart UK fans at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I know some people, like Julianne, actually set their alarm and wake up to be with us.
Because Julianne's a rock star.
Yeah. And then I know other people, like poor sweet Sarah, can't sleep. And so they're up with us. And we love you, Sarah, but we're sorry you can't sleep.
Yeah.
And then Tuesday nights, that's our third and final Twitter chat of the week. That is the hashtag sex abuse chat that gets me all the webcam models. And that one is at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 2 a.m. Wednesday morning in the UK. And we use the hashtag no more shame on Twitter 24/7. Now be aware some other people use it too, and they aren't always, sometimes it's kind of hinky, but we do use it. So if you post something with the hashtag no more shame, we usually catch it within a couple of hours. But if you need something directly from one of us, it's best to tweet us directly. On Facebook, if you would like to join one of our private secret Facebook groups, please.
We have 4 easy steps.
Yes, 4 easy steps. Okay, like the Trauma Recovery University page, friend one of us or both of us, send us a message that says, I'd like to heal in safe community, and then we will drop you into one of our secret Facebook support groups. We may, if we do not know you, if we know you because we've interacted with you on Twitter or some other way, we probably will not question you. But if we don't know you, we'll probably ask you a few questions, and that is simply to protect the safety of all of the members in our groups. We have yet to let someone in who has been destructive, and we would like to keep our record pristine, and so your safety is incredibly important to us. And so if we ask you a few questions about your abuse, we ask that you please not be offended. We're simply trying to make sure that the group is a good fit for you. And we can be found at any time 24/7 on YouTube or Roku TV, and very soon on iTunes. Athena, when will that happen?
I am hesitant to put a date on it because I am not the leader of iTunes and they have to approve us. So as soon as we're approved, the way that I'm formatting everything, you guys, it will be so that like the way people consume information these days is differently than it was before. Like we show up here every week and we do a weekly episode. That's like a normal pace. But a lot of people out there, they do what's called binge watching or binge consuming of content because they're in a place where they're on an airplane for, 12, 13, 14 hours. And they just want to they just want to watch 12, 13 episodes back to back and get a feel for if they like us. And if they do, then they decide to subscribe. And that's totally fine. And we are catering to that request, that it has been requested of us that we make everything available. And so we're going to make everything available at once, but iTunes has to approve us, and they have to go through and they have to sample 60 different pieces of our content before they'll put it all up at once. And then it'll just be, we'll just drip one per week in after it goes live. So we're sort of been in the process of that. I realize we're a year into this and we're not exactly live on iTunes yet, but it's because we wanted to launch our audio and our video at the same time. We had intros, we had outros, we have editing, we have the approval process, the submission process. There's so much behind the scenes work that goes on to this, you guys. I mean, if you want to put like a name to it, like there's, you know, there are people out there that are called YouTubers, and there are people out there that are called podcasters, and there are people out there that run online businesses, and there are people out there that run coaching groups. There are people out there that are content creators. Well, Bobbi and I are doing all of those things at one time. So we're not just focusing in one area like everybody says that we should. Find one thing and do it well and just don't stop, just do that. But the way survivors are, we can't just show up here and send you an email and make it be special. Like, that's not what you guys want. You guys like the way we show up in all these different facets because you need to look at us from all these different angles and hear us and see and read and be able to sort of have your own vetting process to know if we are safe, because you're a survivor and you were robbed of that automatic knowing if things were safe. So anyway, I say all of that to say that we will be on iTunes as soon as possible. And whatever time it happens, whenever it does go live, it's the exact time that it's supposed to happen, because I know that you guys have been sort of sharing with us the whole time exactly what it is that you want and need from us as care providers. So thank you for your patience and support.
Yes. And when we get the approval and we show up on iTunes and on all the podcast formats, we really want you guys to go out and subscribe and rate and review us and just hit those podcast channels as hard as you can, because there is something in the podcast world called new and noteworthy. And if we can get the podcast to appear on the new and noteworthy channel and get recognized on the front page of iTunes, we will get so much more exposure to a huge audience.
And so many more survivors,
Exactly.
Yeah, they'll be able to get the care that they deserve. You guys, sorry, I'm walking around.
Right.
Oh gosh, but yeah.
Yeah. Athena's really being spinny.
I'm sorry, I had to turn off an alarm that I had set.
So yes, so when we let you know that it's ready to go, please, go out there and just hit all those channels, have your friend, have your dog all download the shows so that we can show up on that new and noteworthy page. And we're hoping not only to provide all of you with more consumable material, but we want to reach a whole new audience. Podcasts are huge with millennials, and that's a market that, even though we have tapped into, we want to reach more people within that category. And we are just really hoping that you'll be part of our launch process and help us to promote the podcast so that we can reach more survivors.
Absolutely, and caring professionals. So we have healthcare professionals. I've received, when I was in Birmingham and we recorded live, this was 2 weeks ago tonight, I mentioned, hey, it was mentioned to me at a conference I was speaking at that I should be asserting myself and trying to supplement helping professionals care that they're providing with some of our care. Because we have that happening right now with one of the universities. One of the universities uses some of our materials and gives it to the classes that they're teaching on adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse. So it was super awesome idea. And I said, you know what? That's already happening with the university. We definitely want to, provide supplemental resources for helping professionals. So we reached out to you guys and said, send us messages, send us information. Who should we reach out to? Walk us in, tell us who we should submit our resources to. And I got a couple of messages from you guys, and I actually got several messages of those of you who are going to school to be helping professionals, wanting to know how you could be a part of making a difference in the lives of adult survivors of childhood trauma so that you can be providing trauma-informed care. So I'll be keeping you guys posted on as those webinars and resources and so forth become available so that you can help also. And if you know people that are helping professionals and you would like to introduce us so that we can offer our resources as a supplemental resource for what they're doing, please let us know.
Yay!
Yay! Is that the end of our broadcast, Bobby? Do we have anything else that we need to share?
No, I think we have reached the end of the Yellow Brick Road for tonight.
I think we have. You guys, this has been a wonderful hour, and we are honored that you've chosen to spend this hour with us. Myself, Athena Moberg, and my partner, Bobby Parrish, we treasure each and every one of you. And we know that this is a very, even though the numbers are 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys, so 25% and 16% of the population, we know that there is an even smaller percentage that will find us on YouTube and Roku TV. And we just want you to know how grateful we are that you, out of the entire universe, have found us. And we want you to say hi to us. We want you to reach out to us. Please take us serious when we say that. And share these resources with anyone that you think they may have, if you think that it will help them. So until next week, I'm Athena Moberg, and this is my amazing partner, Bobby Parrish. And this was Trauma Recovery University's episode on the topic of triggers. And please, please take us up on our offer. Go get our complimentary downloadable resource. There's no catch. Just log on to traumarecoveryuniversity.com or nomoreshameproject.com. Click on the tab that says Downloadables and get access to this free resource titled Triggers One Page. And until next week, we love to bring you everything you need for healthy, informed trauma recovery. Aloha, everybody.